All right, everyone. Well, thank you all for joining. I'd like to go ahead and get started. My name is Joe Leonard with GeoVision. We are going to be kicking off our latest series in the monthly insights. And for this series, we will be focusing on our new VMS V20 software. Before I get into the training today, I'd just like to ask if everybody could remain on mute throughout the duration of this training, as well as keep your cameras off. We are going to record the event. We'll make it available. You can watch it on a link later if needed. And then towards the end of the training, we will open it up for questions. We'll have a Q&A section. So I am going to start off giving kind of an overview of the VMS 20 software and the features that it entails. I'll do a little bit of a live demo, and then I'm going to turn it over to Anthony Smith on our team, who will host the technical training portion. And this will be a 3-day event. Each day will be a 3-hour course, and we'll be covering 2 hours. Sorry about that. We'll be covering different aspects of the software, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so again, we're focusing on the VMS V20, which is a new flagship VMS software that we are going to be releasing, targeting towards the end of May for the official release on this software. And we will have a data sheet and user manuals and all that thing coming out soon. But if you've been a GeoVision customer for years, you've known that we've had the VMS 17 software. We've also had a VMS 18 software version that is a paid option. We are going to be consolidating and moving towards the VMS V20 platform. There will be 2 options within the VMS V20 software, and these will pretty much replace the old VMS and 17 and 18 options. So I want to first just kind of break down what you get with the VMS 20 Basic and then the VMS V20 Advanced. So for years with the VMS V17, you have gotten 32 GeoVision camera connections free. We are actually going to be increasing that with the VMS V20 Basic, and you will now have 64 GeoVision camera connections that are included with this free software. In addition to that, for the Edge Recording Manager software that allows a user to remotely view, it will now be free for 64 channels of remote viewing as well. So that will be the free option that we'll call VMS V20 Basic. You will also have the ability to purchase what we call VMS V20 Advanced. This is a license that is a one-time fee. It can be purchased in increments of 32 channels. The first license would start you out at 64 channels. That gives you 16 channels of people and vehicle-based detection recording for any non-analytics cameras. So no matter what camera you would connect to the VMS V20 Advanced, you would have the ability to record solely on people and vehicle detection events, not just regular motion. Again, you can also purchase incremental licenses all the way up to 256 channels on one server. This new software has been developed on 64-bit architecture, which allows you to have a higher number of channels all on one system. And again, we will release a full data sheet soon that will tell you what PC specs are required to achieve that. Now, a couple other points that go along with the V20 Advanced. We have a couple different series of analytics cameras. For years, if you've used us, again, you know that we have, say, the TVD series or the TBL cameras. We've also recently introduced a G series of cameras, and you'll be able to achieve different levels of analytics depending on what GeoVision camera that you have. If you have G series cameras, they have the highest level of analytics. You can do things like clothing color search, vehicle data search, and then certain analytics such as line crossing, loitering, and so on. Older GeoVision cameras, such as the TVD series and TBL series, will also have their analytics supported in the VMS V20 Advanced license as well. Next up, facial recognition. So the VMS V20 Advanced has a built-in facial recognition engine. And what that allows you to do is if you have any GeoVision camera that has the facial detection analytic built into it, the software will then give it facial recognition capabilities. So as long as you have a GeoVision camera that has the face detection analytic on the camera side, you add it into V20 Advanced and it will turn it into facial recognition. And I'll show some things that you can do along with that. One of those being EMAP face tracking. So we have had the EMAP feature for a while. We've enhanced it even further to where if you have multiple facial recognition cameras throughout your facility, you'll actually be able to see the path that a person travels throughout that facility illustrated on the map in real time as that person is moving throughout the facility. Event list. There is a new live displaying event list that you'll see when I do a demo here in a few moments that will show your analytics activities in real time. It will display the results, and then you can also click and play back the footage directly associated with that event. This will be based on analytics as well as people and vehicle attributes. Now, if you have purchased prior VMS Pro licenses, you'll actually still get credit for that purchase whenever you move to VMS 20 Advanced. So if you have a VMS Pro license that you purchased in the past, it will give you another 32 channels on top of the free 64 channels that you get with this software. So I'm going to go through some slides, and then I'm actually going to pull up a live view of VMS 20 and do some demo. The first one here is the real-time live view event list. So this is a new column that you'll see over on the right side of the screen. And again, this will update in real time, and it will show you any analytics activities that are happening. So in this slide, as you can see, we've got like PVD motion. PVD would stand for people vehicle detection based motion. Okay, so that's just one example. You'd also see like loitering or line crossing, those types of events. And then you'd have the ability to double click on an event. And in the live view, it'll allow you to watch the playback of that particular channel while your other cameras are still displaying in live view. AI query. In my opinion, this is one of the most beneficial aspects of the VMS V20 solution. This allows a customer, when they're reviewing playback footage, to do intelligent searches. And if you see on the left side of this image, there's a couple different criteria that you can search by. First, of course, you can choose which cameras you want to search. You can choose your date and time range that you want to search. And then you also have some drop-down columns where you can search by face, analytic event, people, and vehicle attributes. So for this one right here, based on AI camera analytics would be the first searching criteria. So whether you're using an older generation GeoVision camera that has analytics built in or one of the new G series cameras, you'll be able to go in here and see the list of analytics that are searchable. You click on the one that you're interested in, hit query, and it will give you a list of those events right here. You can then double click on one of the events and it will pull up the recorded footage associated with that event over on the right side of the screen. The next one here would be the ability to search by people attributes. So if you click the people drop-down column, you'll be able to search by age range, gender, and then upper and lower body clothing color. There is also the ability to search if a person was wearing a hat or carrying a bag. And then again, as you query and get your results, you could click and play back that footage. Vehicle attributes. Let's say, for example, a customer knows a particular type of vehicle that came into their parking lot and did something, and they want to quickly locate all of the vehicles that match that criteria. You can do searches in VMS V20 based on vehicle analytics when you're using a G series camera. And there is the ability to search by generic types of vehicles, such as a car or a truck or a bus. But then there's also the ability to search by brands of vehicle. So if your customer knows that it was maybe a red Ford pickup truck that came into their parking lot and they're looking for that particular event, you can actually do a combination search where you choose all three of those criteria, and it helps you to narrow it down even further. And then you click and play back that footage. Face search. So again, if you are using a camera that has the face detection analytic built into the camera, bring it into VMS 20, it now becomes facial recognition. There's a few different ways that you can do searching and utilize facial recognition within this software. One is if you would like to enroll someone into the database and tag that person and get a real-time notification if they are seen at the facility, you do have the ability to do that. So let's say that you have maybe a police headshot of someone, or you have surveillance footage of someone. You can take that image, upload it into the VMS V20 and create a profile for that user. And maybe you put a name with it, maybe you call it user 1, user 2, or whatever you want to name it. And when you come into the AI query window, you could type in the name of the subject that you're looking for. And of course, you can do a date and time filter as well. And then it will give you the results of any times where that person was seen at your facility. You also have the ability right here where this headshot icon is at, is if someone is not enrolled in the database, but maybe you have, again, a police headshot and they are asking, has this person been at your facility? You can take that headshot, upload it into this window, and then it will scan across the video and show you any images of people that are that person or that look very similar to that person. All right, so again, it helps you to narrow it down based on facial recognition activity. And of course, in addition to the searching with the facial recognition topic, there are the abilities to where you can get real-time notifications if a person has been seen at your facility. So maybe you trigger an email or a text message, or you want to have a input-output device triggered. There are several different options that you have based on facial recognition. This is what I talked about a little bit earlier when I was mentioning the EMAP face tracking feature. So the VMS V20 does have the ability to where you can upload a floor plan of your facility into the software. You can lay out icons on the map that show where those cameras are physically located in your building. And then if they are all facial recognition cameras, you will see the path that that user has traveled throughout the facility. So it helps you to investigate, where they have gone, and then you can, do further investigation from that. Smart motion search based on PVD. This is a feature that we have had for a little while, but it is, of course, included in the VMS V20. And this feature, you do have to turn it on before you start recording. But basically what it would allow you to do is when you're going into the playback window, let's say, for example, something happened in a particular region of the camera's field of view, but you don't know what time it happened. You have the ability to actually draw a box around that region of interest, and it will search and find any footage of people and vehicle activity from when someone went into that area. Okay, so again, it just kind of helps you quickly locate anytime a person or a vehicle has gone into that area. You'll see right here a series of snapshots, and then you could click on the one that you're interested in and play back that footage. POS integration. So this is, again, a feature that we have had around for many years, but we've enhanced this a little bit further. So what you can do now with the VMS V20 is you have the ability not only to overlay your text data on top of the live video, and that gets recorded as well. So when you're looking at playback footage, you'll be able to see that transaction as it was unfolding. But we now have the ability to overlay the text onto its own separate channel. So if customers would want the ability to have it in more of just like a blank background with no video on it, they do have the ability to look at it in its own dedicated channel. This, again, will be updated in real time as the transaction is occurring. So as a cashier is ringing up items, you're going to see that update in real time. And then as far as for investigative purposes, you could actually double click on one of the results. It will bring up a search feature where you can play back the footage associated with that transaction. And then you can do keyword searches and a lot of other things as well. So a few other additional features that come with the VMS V20. IP speaker support. So about a year and a half ago, GeoVision introduced our own line of IP speaker products. Those are supported within the VMS V20 software now. And with an IP speaker, you have the ability to do live talk downs. So if you are a security guard and you're sitting there and monitoring, you have the ability to click and be able to live talk down into a microphone and have that broadcast out through the speaker. Or a lot of customers see benefit with associating an IP speaker with a camera and leveraging the camera's analytics or motion to be able to trigger a pre-recorded message from that speaker. So for example, let's say after business hours, if a parking lot should not have any activity in it, but maybe a vehicle pulls into that parking lot in the evening, you could have it to where it detects that, and then it would trigger a pre-recorded message, telling people to leave the premise. So IP speaker support, it is fully supported now in the VMS V20. IP decoder boxes, these are mainly used for public view monitors. And within the VMS V20, you do have the ability to now program your layouts that are going to be pushed to the IP decoder boxes. So if you'd want to be, setting up your layouts in the VMS and then pushing it out so it displays on a monitor there at your facility that's using the IP decoder box, you do have the ability to do your central programming right there in the VMS software. Triggering inputs and output devices based on the IP speakers. So this now leverages AI analytics events. So with all the analytics that we talked about, if you are utilizing one of the IP speakers, you can then trigger your input and output devices based on this. Face mosaic and customizable privacy masks. So you do have the ability to blur people's faces now with the VMS V20. And you can also create a custom zone where you would have a privacy mask that is blurred as well. So not only based on a face, but if you have, for example, maybe an interview room and you want to, blur out a particular area of that, in like a police, organization or something like that, you'd have the ability to create a custom view that gets blurred. Facial recognition enrollment. There are a couple ways that this can be done now within the VMS V20. One is right off of live video. So if you see something happening in real time, you do have the ability to quickly take a snapshot of that and enroll someone's face into the facial recognition database. You can also do that in the playback footage. So as you're watching the recorded footage of the event, you'd have the ability to take a screenshot of someone's face right in the V20 software. And then any facial recognition events, when you're looking at the list, you can actually click on that event and then enroll someone into the database. All right, so that's a quick rundown of some of the major features that come with the VMS V20 software. I'm now going to flip over to a live view of the software and just kind of demonstrate some of these features. And then we'll turn it over to Anthony and he'll get started on the technical training portion. All right, so I have now pulled up a live view. We're actually running this here at our Irvine, California headquarters. This is 3 facilities here that we have in Southern California, and we're running our demo system here with the V20. A couple things that you'll notice right off the bat in the live view is it looks similar to VMS V17 and 18, but again, there's a lot of added features. First one being your content list and then your event list over here on the right. These are now collapsible, so you can just bring them into the screen as you need them, or you can get rid of them when you don't need them. And then starting over on the content list, again, this looks pretty familiar, but you do have a couple additional drop downs here as well now. So the layouts, you still have the ability to create custom layouts, and you can create as many as you want. And you, of course, have the ability to then right-click on a layout and choose what monitor you want to display it to. Okay, so the V20 does support multi-monitor and displaying different things on different monitors. Your EMAP, again, this is where you go ahead and create your map and then you drag it in and display it as a channel. And then, of course, you've got your cameras here where you hover over a camera, it'll show you a live preview, and then you can drag and drop to place your cameras in your layout. And if we go down a little bit further, you have your I/O devices, input-output devices, your POS integration, where you can add in your POS and then display it on its own channel here. IP speakers, this is where you'd add in, like an IP horn speaker, and then, of course, SIP devices as well. So Anthony will be going much more in-depth on this portion, but I just wanted to show first the content list. Some things in live view that are now displayed. If I full screen this camera, for example, any cameras that have counting capabilities, like people and vehicle counting, you do have the ability to overlay that text data on top of the video here if you would like to. So you can see the number of people that are entering in an area or exiting, and then also the number of people that are still inside that area, or that data can be based on vehicle activity as well. Now, this data does get recorded with the video. So as you're watching the playback footage, you're going to see that overlay also. And then it's optional, but you can have the line that you created for the analytic displayed right here. And if you want, you can also enable rectangles to display over detected events like people and vehicle activity. One other feature that you can now do, I have this camera duplicated in the software because you have the ability when you're looking at your real-time event list over here on the right to where you can double click on that event And now you have the ability to display the recorded footage right here, right alongside the live view of that camera. So if you're looking at the event list over on the right and you see an event that you want to play back quickly, but you don't want to lose your live footage at that moment, you have the ability to display them side by side and watch that playback right there while your live view is still happening. Okay, so this is a new feature that's been added in. And as you can see, your timeline is right down here on the bottom for that camera that we have selected. And we would even have the ability to click around and, back up that foot or go back in time on that footage if we need to. And then whenever we're finished with it, we can just click the arrow here back to live view, and it will get rid of our timeline down at the bottom. Now, this event list over here, again, this is what I was talking about, where you can have all of the events, any analytics activities updating in real time. So as events are occurring, such as facial recognition or line crossing or people vehicle detection, you're going to see new events occur here in real time. You'd be able to scroll through the list, and then again, you'd be able to double click on that activity, and it will bring in and allow you to play back the footage associated with that event. So if we double click right here, there's our white truck right there from the event that I clicked on. If I want, I can hit restore, and it'll bring us right back to the live view screen. All right, some other things down below here, the POS integration. So we've had for years the ability to have the POS integration displayed on top of the video. So as the transaction is occurring, you're going to see that event unfold right there. You even have the ability to highlight certain keywords. So as you see the ones that are displaying in red and yellow, this is predefined. We've set this up for the demonstration. But let's say there's certain merchandise that you want to be highlighted in the transaction. You have the ability to make it highlight like that, so it's just more easily identifiable. You also have the ability to get real-time notifications if certain events happen. So for example, no sale events or abnormal transaction events, voids, those kinds of things. With the abnormal transaction, I always like to use the example of a bottle of wine and a price point of $50. If a cashier is ringing up that bottle of wine below $50, you can get a real-time notification that that event occurred. Okay, so it's a loss prevention tool, basically. So again, the live view can have the text overlay right on top of the video, and then when you're watching playback footage, that would be displayed as well. But the other new feature is right over here, and how you have the ability to have a dedicated window with a blank background, and then that transaction would display on top of that. Again, this will keep updating in real time as the transaction is occurring. And then if you double click on an event, it will bring up your search window here. This will give you the ability to do some more interactive searching. Okay, so down here in the bottom right-hand corner, let's say, for example, you have a certain keyword that you want to search for within this transaction. Maybe you want to type in the word void, for example. You could type that in, hit search, and then if there are any results, you'll see those results right here. And then you could double click and it would sync up your video right there to that particular moment in time. All right, and there's a lot of other searching options. If you wanted to search for maybe all transactions that are less than $1, for example, you could do that. And it would pull those results there. And then as you can see over here, it's going to sync up with the video. So you're going to see the transaction side by side with that video. So a lot more searching that can be done. That's just kind of some of the basic idea, though, that I wanted to highlight. All right, so within the live view, pretty much covered some of the main features that I wanted to go over. We're going to be flipping over to the playback window now, which is up in the top right-hand corner, the view log. And if I go into here and go into toolbar and tools, object search, as well as advanced system log and AI query. These are some of the features that I want to focus on. AI query will be the first one. And again, I feel this one is the most beneficial because you have the ability to go in and you can select all cameras that you want to search by, or you can just search individual cameras. Okay, so if you want to search every camera on the system, you can do that, or just narrow it down to particular cameras of interest. And then, of course, right here on the time filter, you have the ability to choose a particular date and time range that you want to search right there. And then as you come down further, you have the 4 different criteria that you can search by. So if we go into the face category, right here, face matching, this is the option where you can click, and if you have a headshot of someone, you'd have the ability to navigate within Windows, find that headshot, hit query, and then it would give you results of any times where that person or someone that looks very similar to that person has been seen. You also, as you can see here, you have a confidence score that you can dial up or down. So if you want to filter out false positives, you do have the ability to do that. Name search. If you had someone enrolled in the database and you wanted to search based on their name, you'd have the ability to do that as well. So if I type in Anthony, for example, hit query, here it will give me all the results of when Anthony was seen. And then again, I could double click on one of those results and it would sync up and play that footage for me. All right. And then over here on the left, you can also pair that with some additional information. If you want to search, particularly on adults, male, female, child, those kinds of criteria, you can do that. The next drop down here would be the event category. So again, this would be for any camera that has analytics built into the camera, any GeoVision camera, I should say. And as you can see here, there's a list of those analytics that you have the ability to search by. Most likely this list will increase later. They will be, adding in additional analytics that can be searched. But for example, PVD motion, let's say that you want to only look for people or vehicle detection based motion events. You have the ability to search those events right there, and it will narrow it down and show you all the PVD activity. And again, you'd be able to double click and you'd be able to play back your footage associated with that event. All right, and then over on the left, of course, we do have some other analytics you can search by: intrusion, line crossing, entering and leaving area, loitering. So whatever analytic your camera has built in, you could display those results in here as well. All right, and these really are meant for helping the customer narrow down the footage rather than just looking at a 24-hour timeline. It really helps them find footage quicker and then be able to play back that footage quicker. The people category right here, you can do a combination search of a couple different criteria. So first, age range, gender, and then upper and lower body clothing color. You can also search by if people are carrying a bag or wearing a hat. So if I come in here, let's just do a search based on adults with black upper body clothing color, and then hit query. We'll get those results over here. All right. And again, you'd be able to click and play back the footage associated with it. Okay, we don't have that particular feature running at the moment, but you would get your playback recording right there. Under the vehicle column, again, you have some generic types of vehicles that you can search by. So let's say, for example, you want to search for red sedans. You'd click sedan and pair it with the color that you want to search, and then hit query, and then it would give you those results right there. Or if you scroll down even further, you do have some drop downs here where you can search by particular brands of vehicle. So if I select Tesla, for example, it would give me any Tesla vehicles that we're seeing. And as you can see here, it's categorized alphabetically, so you can search by pretty much any brand out there. And of course, you can pair that with a color search if you would like. All right, so this is the AI search feature. And one thing to note on the AI search feature that I just mentioned with the people and vehicle based searching, that is only available when you're utilizing a G series camera. For the event column right here, this will be supported with older GeoVision analytics cameras, such as the TVD series, the TBL series, and some others. But in particular, the person and vehicle dropdowns are only available when you're using the G series cameras. So we do recommend people start to migrate to that series. It's becoming kind of our flagship camera line. There are several different options within that category, including domes, turrets, bullets, fisheye cameras. So we do recommend starting to move toward the G series cameras so you can leverage all the analytics that are capable with this software. Some other options that you have within the tools, if we go into advanced system log, if you are doing the people or vehicle counting, you have the ability to actually go in here and run a report based on that. So when it first pops up, you can choose what date range that you want to search. And then whenever it pulls the results, you can click the drop down and go to AI counter right here. And now you'll see your count for that day of how many people or vehicles cross by your line that you drew on your camera. And as you can see, for every device that you have set up, it will give you an individual count. Once you get your count, you actually have the ability to print this as a report. So if you wanted to make like a PDF document or that kind of thing, or you can back it up or save it, you can. And there's even a filter category here where you can go in and you can choose particular filters that you want. Like let's say that you want to run the report just on a certain camera. Let's say that you want the report just to have vehicle data on it and a particular date and time range. You do have the ability to customize your report in this window right here. And then your POS search is in here. I'm not going to go into it at the moment, but if you do want to search your POS data, this has your option where you can go in and type in particular keywords of interest. The object search, this is where you actually have the ability to go in and you can search based on a region of interest that I talked about. Again, I don't have that particular feature set up, but just the basics of it, you have the ability to go in here and draw a box that would be your area of interest. And then once you would hit search, it would show you any times where a person went into that area. And then you'll get your results down below and you could click one of those events and play back that footage. All right, so those are some of the main features here within the VMS V20 software. I am now going to turn it over to Anthony Smith, and he is going to focus on the technical training portion of the event. Thank you all very much for attending.